Hello, I'm cold. It's cold in here. I came in, it was 34 degrees, and 32 is freezing. So, also, I don't know why I'm using Fahrenheit. I'm a metric boy. Let's listen to music. That's why we're here. I think this is fine. I'll just slouch a little bit so that I can fit my entire body in the frame. Let's start off with Aiden Dodge. I also just took a quick look, and we're up to almost 2,300 songs that have been reviewed on the stream. So that's pretty crazy. That's a lot of songs to listen to and think about and talk about. So good job, us. Okay, let's listen to Aiden Dodge. Thoughts I Withhold and Chaotic Relaxation. Same song, weird title. Let's go.
What is the meaning of life? Is it just an illusion? A dream? Do I have control? Is this just a nightmare I'm put into to understand what it truly means to suffer? Will I just have one message for myself on the outside world? Wake up.
Okay, so I don't know about the lo-fi effect on the dialogue. It's just kind of adding like crispiness for no reason. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the crispiness, like the lo-fi-ness. Also,
is this just a nightmare I'm put into to understand what it truly means to suffer? Will I just have one message for myself on a dream?
Is this the song that I previously compared to the song Money for Nothing and Chicks for Free by Dire Straits? Because that kind of that sounds like the start of that one. I think it is. That's fine. I just think it's funny. And then
Wake Up.
The piano part in there kind of has a little bit of a Chocolate Rain vibe. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. I think this section could probably be condensed into half of the length. I feel like the piano part...
Wake up.
Feels odd having such a dramatic narrated intro straight into some, don't know how to say that word, piano chords. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the way that the dialogue sounds per se. But I don't really have any suggestions to make it any better, so I'm not really sure what to say there. Anyway, I feel like this section is dragging on a bit too much. I feel like it's a bit repetitive. Let's listen to the next section.
I'm trying to relax, 'cause I just don't want to be a victim of the chaos.
I feel like the vocals are very loud in this. The vocals are like too loud.
I'm trying to relax, 'cause I just don't want to be a victim of the chaos. Trying to hide the fact that despite my cries for help, the effort never paid off. No, no. Chaotic relaxation, it's got me in a loophole. There's no way to escape it, it's got me feeling so cold. I have a deal with Satan, and if I'm being...
Yeah, like I like the vocals, but I do think that they're like the rest of the track almost feels like it's ducking out of the way when the vocals hit. Like I bet you your vocals are hitting the master limiter. So I would probably turn them down.
My whole life I've been running through rain with no umbrella to keep me out the cold. In my darkest nights where there's no street lights, just reflections from the raindrops. My whole life I put up a fight for what I know's right and to make it to the very top.
The arpeggiated piano, what would that sound like if it was a synth instead? I don't know. The piano arpeggiator thing just kind of just makes it just sounds like Chocolate Rain to me. I don't know. I think you could keep the piano playing the chords and maybe have like a cool synth doing an arpeggiator, because all of a sudden such a straight up like almost like sequencer sounding arpeggio doesn't really sound like something a piano player would play, but it does sound like something that would be played on a synth, you know? So I don't know. I think maybe trying a synth instead of a piano would be a good.
Trying to relax, cause I just don't wanna be a victim of the chaos. Trying to hide the fact that despite my cries for help, the effort never paid off. No. Chaotic relaxation, it's got me in a loophole. There's no way to escape it, it's got me feeling so cold. I have a deal with Satan, and if I'm being truthful, I'm not willing to make the fire burn in exchange for my own soul.
Yeah, I think the song is good. I think the mix is really holding it back in terms of the vocals, just not, they don't feel like they're part of the mix. I think Bleed said it sounds kind of karaoke-ish, and I think I agree with that. I think the sorry, I think the vocals just, they're just there, you know, they just sound like they're sitting on top of the mix, and they have to be, I'd probably thin them out a little bit. Like they kind of sound a little too body voiced or like thick in the bottom end. I'd probably thin them out a little bit, bring them down in volume, and just try to get a better balance where it sounds like the vocals are in the mix and not on the mix. I feel like a monologue. Well, I'm not really a huge spoken word fan, so like I didn't really like the dialogue in the intro. It just kind of sounded like you talking. So I don't know. I don't know if it's right for this track. I feel like what you've got here.
Trying to relax, cause I just don't wanna be a victim of the chaos.
Like the performance and stuff is good. I'm the type of person who would skip an album intro. I mean, if it was like, if 9 Inch Nails dropped a new album, I probably wouldn't. But if it was this, I probably.
What is the meaning of life?
Because it just, to me, it kind of sounds like a parody. Like it kind of, to me, sounds
A dream?
almost like that Tim and Eric thing where they're talking about the space and they're, you know, it does. I'm not trying to be mean about it or anything, but that's just what it comes across to me as. It doesn't sound serious. It sounds like almost like a joke, and that I don't really know if it's. I don't know if speaking with more emotion, less emotion, clearer, less clear. I don't know. I'm not a real big fan of just like straight up dialogue anyway, for the most part. So, yeah. I don't know. I thought the track was really good once we got here.
Trying to relax.
Everything up to that was just kind of meh. Like the piano, that second transition chord, there's some tension in it that I don't really like myself. There's like a little too much, there's like a dissonance in that second chord that just kind of feels a little meh, I don't know. But once I got into it, I thought it was really good, and I think this track is really good, except the mix is a bit off. The arpeggiated piano sounds like Chocolate Rain. The dialogue at the start sounds like Tim and Eric joking about how deep space is. So that's just how I feel. But I do think the song is good. I just think the stuff that comes before the song is like meh. But everything else is great. It's a good track. You're getting much better at singing. You're doing a good job at the performance. So keep it up and keep going. And I hope that helps. All right, let's check out Boom Safaro remix by. Let's see, Boom Safaro remix. Safaro. Wow. Okay. I just realized how dumb I was just there. Okay, here we go.
Oh baby, oh oh, tick 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 tick, boom boom. Oh baby, oh oh, tick 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 tick, boom. Oh baby, oh oh, tick 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 tick, boom boom. Oh baby, oh oh, tick 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 tick, boom. Lion heart, oh oh, tick 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 tick, boom boom. Lion heart, oh oh, tick 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 tick, boom. Lion heart, lion heart, lion heart, lion, tick 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 tick, boom. Lion heart, lion heart.
I mean, this has got me grooving, but when the drop happened, it didn't really feel like anything happened. It just felt like a continuation of the build. Like the energy level, the complexity, everything kind of stayed the same. It just got a little bit like thicker, you know? I would probably try to define the drop a little bit better. I mean, the easy thing you could do is have effects. That's going to help, but I believe that just effects are just going to band-aid it. I don't think it's going to fix the problem. I think the drop isn't really well defined. Like maybe if you were like, if you used the vocal a little more sparingly, or it wasn't as complex. Maybe it's like a tick, 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 boom, boom, tick, tick, boom, boom, tick, 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 boom, boom. You know, like it's more simple. I think everything leading up to it is very complex and there's a lot of cool, exciting things happening. And then the drop happens and it just keeps doing that. So if you could like strip the drop back and make it more like, oh yeah, there it is, you know, like finally feels like we got to the thing that we wanted to get to. I think that's going to help quite a bit. And I know like this style kind of has that like distorted master, but I think it might be pushed a little. It's a little crunchy. It almost sounds like the speakers are distorting rather than the mix. But I think the biggest problem is just that it just kind of feels a little sporadic. It feels a little like scatterbrained, you know? Like there's a lot of cool things happening, but I'm not detecting a hook. I'm detecting hints of a hook, you know, like in a fine wine, there's hints of oak or whatever, oaky afterbirth. But I feel like you need to sit down and try to actually write the drop as like a hooky, chopping up the vocal in a more strategic, thought out, intentional way. Right now, it just kind of feels like a bunch of cuts. I also agree with Kadia that like there's too many booms. Like I'm hearing a lot of boom, 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 boom. Oh, I deleted it.
Oh, baby, oh, 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 tick, 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 tick. Tick, 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 tick.
Like this drop kind of feels like it almost has a bit more of a direction to it, but there's still just too many things happening. I don't know what it's doing. It's not doing like a ooh deek 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 ooh do 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 do. It's not like super memorable. It's not. I can't figure it out. I'm just hearing like vocal cuts hitting me in the ears over and over again. There's lots of really cool stuff happening, but that's kind of the problem. There's just too much cool stuff happening all the time. I think that's basically the biggest piece of advice I can give you with this is like just simplify it and try to have a more intentional, like driven, purposeful hook that you like, a structure, a theme, a motif, a melody, you know, like something that's a bit less just all over the place in terms and like give us a break from the vocals. I feel like the vocals right from the get-go. Yeah, from the start of the track all the way to the end, we've got boom, boom, tick, 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 boom, tick, 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 boom, 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 tick, tick, tick. So I think you've got a lot of really, like, honestly, really cool ideas in here. But to me, this sounds like let's throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And I don't think anything has fallen off the wall yet. So once again, using a food analogy for some reason, I think you should take all of the spaghetti that you threw at the wall and you should take the stuff off that is supposed to fall off. I think the stuff is getting a little sticky and it's sticking to the wall a bit better than it should. So go and see, maybe there's a few pieces that are like starting to like kind of almost fall off. Just pull those pieces off, delete some stuff, simplify. And maybe go a little less crunchy on the master. I don't know. I get it. I understand. But at the same time, I think it's maybe just a bit overcooked. Again, food reference for some reason. Okay, thank you for sending. Let's move on to Cat Attack Akiri. Just go ahead and fucking do this. Very quiet. Very, very quiet. I'm just gonna. So this is very beautiful. So far, so good. It's so quiet at the start. I don't know. Does it need to be that quiet? Can it be a little louder? Also, okay, you know what? I'm just going to play it. I'm going to finish playing it before I start talking. This is honestly very, very well done. This is really good. This is like, I was trying to find, it's not on Spotify for some reason, but I'll find it to show you. This sounds really great, dude. Very well done. I just think it's a bit quiet at the start. I think that might be my only feedback. The only other thing I'm going to do is show you something that I think you'll like. Monster soundtrack. For some reason, it's not on. For some reason it's not on Spotify. But the Monster soundtrack, I think that you would really dig this.
So are you a
Don't risk a financial glitch. Press pause and check today. Visit fcnb.ca.
So like, this whole album is really good. I just picked a random song. It's about a prostitute, but anyway, it's a great soundtrack. I don't know if I've ever watched the movie. I might have tried. I think I might have watched the movie because I liked the soundtrack, but it was many, many, many years ago. Like it might have been like 2005. So, yeah. Anyway, my feedback is make it less quiet a little bit. You can still get the point across, but I don't need to turn my speakers up. And listen to that soundtrack because you'll probably like a lot of it. Cool. Thank you for sending. Great job, as always. Next up, 10,001 game.
It's a game. It's a game.
I know it's a game I'm not gonna play, but maybe you should do whatever you need to erase me. It's all just a game. You think I'm gonna play, but baby you should do whatever you need to erase me, baby.
Yeah, Bleed, I agree. Also, Wailed, I got your track. It's in there now. I agree. I found it's cool. I like what I'm hearing, but I was also scratching my head at the timing of the vocal. Like I thought I was on beat, but then I was like, but the vocals aren't on beat. So I think the vocals, it might be one of those situations where it's the right tempo, but maybe the emphasis, like you started it on the upbeat when you should have started on the downbeat or vice versa. Like sometimes a vocal phrase will start and then the drop, so it starts before it, and sometimes people put it on the wrong side of the drop. So I'm not sure if the vocal timing is off or the whole vocal itself is shifted one way or another, but I would probably put a metronome on and listen specifically to the vocals to see if they line up, and then investigate, like Bleed said, sometimes the swing. There's something off about the timing of the female vocals when they come in.
I know it's a game I'm not gonna play, but maybe you should do it.
Yeah, da-na-na-na-na-na. I feel like it's off by like
I know it's a game.
Like when she says game, that should be on the downbeat, but it happens before the down.
I know it's a game.
Or maybe slightly. I don't know. There's a problem. I can't explain to you exactly how to fix it, but there's a problem between the drums and the vocals.
It's just a game. You think I'm gonna play, but baby, you should do whatever you need to erase me, baby.
It almost feels late in this section. Yeah, I like the drop. It's cool, but I do think the vocals are late. Like, listen to it here right before the drop comes back. Like, it feels late. Like, quite a bit late. I'd probably also try to add some transients to the da-da-da-da-dun-dun-dun, because, like, they're nice and gristly, but the starting, the rhythmic part of it is a little obscure. Like it doesn't have a nice da 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 da. So you could almost like superimpose like the very start of a percussive sound and mix it in. Maybe send it to the same track that the synth is going to. Just add a little bit better definition to the da 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 da. Maybe the vocals are just shifted off by they're just like late by a little bit, like like a half an eighth note. What's that? Like a 15th note or something?
You need to erase me, baby.
I also find that like the sub bass is a bit messy. I wonder, like, there's some part of it that I like being rumbly like that, but I also wonder what it would sound like if you cleaned it up and had a dedicated sub bass that was more clean, because right now it sounds like there's maybe numerous basses contributing down in that sub range. It kind of sounds like there's like some phasing happening because it's like rumbly. I don't know if I like it or if it would sound better with just a nice clean sub bass. But yeah, I agree with Bleed. The vocal being off time is not, that's the worst part of the track. The best part is the drop is very thick and girthy, but yeah, you got to fix your late your late vocal thing. Or I don't want to say late because I don't know. It's off. You got to fix your vocal thing that's off in some way. But the drop is super cool. So maybe don't work on the drop and just try to get the vocals fixed. And maybe that's probably the best next step, I would say, is fix the timing of the vocals. And go from there. Okay, cool. Thank you for sending. Let's move on to Zetmo Presents Eminisu Call or Click. Call or click online. There's another pre-drop for you, Bleed. Dude. Is that not like very similar? I love it. God, I love that intro. Sorry. It triggered something I had to investigate. Let's keep listening. It's cool so far. Very good. Okay, so the drop is sick. The intro is pretty sick too, but I don't find that they have a lot. There's a lot relating the two parts together. Like both in terms of sound design and in phrasing or melody or anything. Like I'm not saying that they couldn't be intermingled a little bit better, but to me, the intro has its own vibe and its own thing that's going on. Then all of a sudden we get like the crazy dubstep part. And I like both of the parts individually. I did find somebody said that the intro is too long. I think it was Maple Leaf. I agree. I'm not saying it's too long in terms of its length. I'm just saying it felt like it was dragging. I wasn't like hyped for the drop. The drop just happened. I was like, oh, I guess here we go. You know? So I feel like if you could get us more excited for the drop, but also I feel like the two parts they kind of exist in a vacuum in terms of relating to each other. Like I don't hear any similarities between. You know what I mean? So the easy thing to try is maybe sneak in a little bit of the intro, try to incorporate some of the synths from the intro and the drop, and or incorporate some of the synths from the drop and the intro or something, or change the phrasing. To me, there's very little tying the two parts together. You can tie it together with the sounds you use. You can tie it together with the phrasing or the rhythm that's being used. You can tie it together with a hook or a melody or a motif or something like that. But none of these things are being done. They're just kind of two cool parts that kind of chronologically happen. Let's keep going. I did kind of find this it kind of felt cheesy compared to the rest of the track, especially with the it's kind of like like riding on a donkey or something, you know. It kind of felt a little cheesy to me, that phrase. So yeah, overall thoughts, drops are sick. I would even maybe save it as a new project file and take the sound design from the intro and just try to write something that's more based on what it does in the droppers. I don't know. I'm beating off a dead horse. I think I've made my point across in terms of how I feel. You know, I just think that the two parts are unrelated. And that to me, once it gets into the drop, I'm like, oh, this is sick. But I wasn't like excited for the drop. I wasn't anticipating the drop. It just kind of happened. And then I was like, oh, well, this is cool. And you don't really want that. You want it to be like, oh my God, I want the fucking drop to happen right now. You know, I cannot wait for this drop to happen. And then the drop happens and you're like, hell yeah, this is what I was waiting for. As opposed to like, oh, okay, this is cool. You know, like that. Anyway, that's what I think. Cool. Thanks. Moving on. Nemkai, UKG 134, new phone, who did?
My life.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I think that the drop is cool and exciting, but it to me might need to be simplified at the start a little bit, and also I think you need to spend more time getting. It's kind of the same as before. It's not that this section leading up to it is unrelated. There's just not a whole lot happening in the first, like the start of the song. Like I wasn't really ready for the you could like tease that, you know, like push it way back, delay it out, reverb, blah, 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 and have it build up and get us ready. You're introducing it so that when you start to hit us with it, we're familiar with the sound. So I think that like leading up to the drop, it just kind of, I wasn't ready for the cool sounds that were happening. And I also felt like it went It went kind of from 0 to 60 in like 0 seconds. Like I feel like this feels like a B section of a drop. It feels like you've already established like a more simple, kind of like blunt, I guess just simple, like a simple drop, and then this is you elaborating on that drop. But I feel like we haven't really been introduced to the sounds and the phrasing and everything quite well enough. And maybe that if the intro becomes more developed, maybe that will solve that problem. But personally, from like a taste point of view, I would prefer it to drop super simple so that we can like really understand all the elements that are happening and then elaborate on it. Let's keep going. So far, I'm kind of feeling like each of these sections is kind of like an experiment in themselves. They feel kind of disjointed to each other. Maybe that's the theme of today's stream. Like the sections don't, like that chord progression was cool, but it just didn't feel like that's where it should have happened, or like I wasn't ready for it. Discord server doesn't work. I have about 1,600 people that would disagree with you. Where's the invite link? You got to type it in. Use your fingers. Yeah, this is cool. It's almost like old school breakbeat or like breaks. I dig it. I dig it as a whole, but again, it feels kind of disjointed. It feels like a bunch of cool ideas that happen one after another.
I think we got it.
But each section is sick. Each section sounds great. I think it's the arrangement that I'm mostly like struggling with. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's totally disjointed. You know, it has some flow to it, but I don't think it has the right amount of flow. I'm not following along. If I couldn't see the waveform, I wouldn't really have a good idea as to what was going to happen next. And that's not to say that everything needs to be 100% predictable or anything like that. But if it's not kind of leading me by the hand a little bit, then every section that hits, I'm not going to be ready to rock with it immediately. I'm going to have to take a few seconds and orient myself as to where I am in the track. So that's kind of where I think having a bit more continuity, I guess you could say, would help. But in terms of the mix, I think the mix is pretty good. Yeah, I don't really have any issues with the mix. It's mostly just the arrangement and how the track kind of flows and develops as a story. I find that it's a bit chunky. Okay, let's move on. Thank you for sending Cord. It's time to choose your car in Gran Turismo 3. Okay, my thoughts are, again, I say this every time Cord sends one in. I think you need to get the volume up. Just generally speaking, it's just too quiet because every time you send one in, I have to click normalize. And it's not like that's hard work for me, but when somebody pulls up your track and wants to listen to it, they're not going to load it into FL Studio and click normalize. They're going to either turn their speakers so far up that the next song is going to give them hearing damage, or they're going to get frustrated that it's so quiet and skip the song. So I think, again, learn how to use a limiter in your master bus. This doesn't really need a whole lot of limiting. It doesn't need a whole lot of mastering per se. It just needs to be louder. Every track you send in, I have to normalize. So I think it's time for you to start putting something in your master bus to get it louder without going overboard. My next thoughts are the fake guitar is a bit fake sounding. It doesn't necessarily not work because of like the style of the track. I did find that the track kind of meandered around a little too long. It was loitering. It was just kind of like chilling and not really moving forward. The progress was made in like 8-bar sections. You know, it would this is kind of what it felt like to me. We do this. It kind of felt like this. We're here energy-wise, then we get a bump up at the next 8-bar section, then we get a bump up at the next 8-bar section, then a breakdown at the 8-bar section, then we get a bump up at the 8. So like very discrete steps as opposed to maybe being a little more ooh, you know, and then and you can do that many different ways. But to me, it sounds like it's being written on a step sequencer where you are dropping new patterns. It's very step sequency. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but I don't know. I don't think it lends itself well to this style of music. I think that having a little bit more gradual analog kind of smooth transition from one part to the next, where the energy is building a little more gradually as opposed to just kind of like, okay, now we're adding this element. Okay, here's this element for 8 bars. Here's the next. Guess what? New element dropping in 3, 2, 1. New element. You know, it feels very stair-steppy to me. So I would probably try to figure out how to make it move along a little bit. That's kind of like. I don't know how to draw it in a small amount of time, but like, let's just say this is like a pattern. This is a pattern. This is a pattern. This is what it sounds like to me. I'll show you what it looks like. So this is what it kind of sounds. Let's do this instead. Your tracks typically sound like they go a little something like this. Without much nuance. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we get this part for a while, then we get that part for a while, then we get, new part, and then another new part, then a breakdown, then a bunch of new parts. Like, it feels very discrete. And I think I'm once again beating off a dead horse. So I hope that makes sense. It sounds good. It sounds like I want to choose a car. And that is cool. That is the chord sound, and I like it. But I think these are some things that you should try working on. The easy one is to just figure out how to get something in your master bus. Something as simple as like a very simple limiter. And then that way you can kind of push it up until you see the limiter start to get tickled a little bit and you can back it off. What's the question, Amps? Was that not clear? I don't blame you if it wasn't. I just mean that like his, or are you talking about beating off a dead horse? I don't know. Whatever. That's what I got to say. Thank you for sending. Okay. Get crazy final. All right. We are going to get crazy finally. So this is very cool, but I have suspicious eyes because if my eyes are telling me what they're seeing to my brain, sure I could have worded that better. This screams 192 kilobit per second MP3, but the file is 320. And then we get these little spickety spikety spikes and they are exceeding the 192 MP3 level of quality. So it sounds dope. It's very cool. I don't like the fact that I'm suspicious. Color me suspicious. And maybe there's a perfectly good explanation. But this is clearly one file. And then this, which I think is maybe just the claps, are a different file altogether. So I'm not trying to accuse anybody of yoinking or sploinking or whatever. I'm just I'm just suspicious and I want to be transparent about it. I mean, like, yeah, there's some subtle nuances in the difference between spelunking and yoinking. It mostly comes down to what country you're in. I don't really want to get into it because it gets kind of political and I'm not really that kind of guy. Anyway, the track itself is dope. I mean, the track is like a shake dad ass kind of track. It's good. If I were to give it some criticism besides my suspicious, like, shifty eyes, you know, it would be that we have kind of like, we got the groove, right? But there's no space. There's never any like bit of a relief or a reprieve or a retreat or recycle. It's kind of always grooving. And if maybe in the breakdown, if it broke down a little bit more and like kind of like gave us room to breathe and like stop shaking our asses, you know, then maybe we would shake our asses better when the drop came back because our asses had a break from the shaking. Besides that, it's fucking sick. It's a great beat and I like it a lot. I'm just, again, I've got my suspicious eyes going because of the frequency response. Because that is not a 320 kilobit per second wave frequency response. That is almost certainly a 192. Check this shit out though. It's pretty cool. If we go here. Hold on. I got to turn it on. That would help. Okay, so we'll start at 320. Oh, I don't want to just... Okay, so this is going to, in real time, convert it to an MP3 of these qualities. Let's see how far we can push it down before we notice a difference in the spectrum. It's 128. Yeah, it's a 128 kilobit per second waveform because when I went to 112, we could actually see the difference. I was considering submitting this week, but I decided not to develop and try to lesson. However, there's balance through this minimum time for one. Yes, the answer is yes. See, you can see it start to step down. Like that's 96, but I'm almost certain that the track is 128 kilobits per second because when I turn it on and off, first of all, don't really hear much of a change, but also don't see any change. And I bet you the artifacts that pop up are probably what I would say. I'm gonna guess that those, you can see those spikes shooting up. That's probably caused by the 128 kilobit per second waveform hitting a limiter, and that's adding some harmonics because of the limiter doing its limiting. What's up, Pluto? I am back, I guess. Yeah, my neck isn't broken anymore. That's cool. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Suspicious, but cool song. All right, let's move on. If I can remember how to turn the... Okay, that's all off. All right, cool. Let's do next. Let's do the next one. Contact by Maple Leaf. Great naming, by the way. What is this a wave or is it a... It's an MP3. Okay. All right, let's have a listen. What's going on here? Why is this the same thing? Why do we still have, it's a 3? This might be, hold on a sec. Oh, you dirty dog. You did it. You did it. This is what we like to see. It's been a while. Go ahead. Contributing artist, Runaria? What? Anyway, we'll continue listening. It's fine. We'll listen through the 128 kilobitness. It sounds good already, so. Okay, so besides the issue with the bitrate, which is just kind of funny that it came right after the 128 discussion, right? And it's a 128 and it looks exactly the same. But blah blah blah, who cares? I'm not impressed. It's just the wall of shame. Anybody that sends something that's an MP3 that's not a fucking 320 can just go get fucked. Respectfully. And it's okay, but I'm going to put you in the paint. I'm going to put you in the hall of shame with all the other low bitrate submitters. And we're going to save that, and that's fine. We're going to listen to the song now. You can send a flag. Go for it. See if I care. I don't care. See if I care. I don't care. What do I think about this? I think it sounds very good. I think that sonically it's very pleasing, but I do find that it is loitering and it's just kind of creeping along. The pacing is not there. Like, we don't have any melody. You know, we have kind of it's kind of it feels like it's all ear candy, you know, and it's a nice ear candy. There's lots of ear candiness. It sounds like you've put a lot of work into the ear candiness, the atmosphere, the vibe, the ethos. You know, maybe you're mining a little Ethereum on the side. I have no idea, but all that stuff is very good. It sounds great. But in terms of the track moving forward, I'm not picking up a theme, you know, besides like the atmosphere, the general feeling I get, but there's no melody. It's just kind of like cool stuff happening, you know? And it's not really saying anything to me, I guess is what I'm trying to get at, you know? And this could easily be fixed. It could be as simple as like, just like, sorry. It could be as simple as loading up a synth that you like, and just like messing around and coming up with a hook or a melody that like you could almost if you were better. I have massive like latency on this, so it's gonna be difficult, but yeah, like loading up a synth, like throwing some, why do I keep saying like? Am I a 14-year-old girl? Like if we just put like just writing a melody. I'm just messing around, but you get the idea. Something like, it's just something, because right now it's not enough to capture my attention. That is a really long message. My good Lord, that you're going to have to send again because I did not read it in time. Okay, let's keep going. DJ Mimosa, Moksa. If you're, I think like Bleed said, if you're having fun, then what's the harm? But if you feel like you are taking shortcuts and you feel like you have found some cheat codes and it's perhaps coming at the cost of you developing a unique sound because you found some good sounds and you found some good patches, some good loops, some good whatever, then maybe that's something to think about. If you're enjoying it, then who gives a shit? But if you are starting to not find it fulfilling in terms of like being proud of what you've done, I didn't grab it yet, Bleed, but I will. Then maybe it's time to start pushing your boundaries in terms of how you create your music. Set some challenges. Like one time I made I made a song using only old 80s synths behind me, like Casio old synths from the 80s. And just like finding new ways to challenge yourself, because if you are finding everything easy, well, that I guess we're all jealous of you because none of us find any of this fucking easy. But also, if you're finding it easy because you found some like shortcuts, then that can be. I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm just for you to reflect on. If you're like, oh my God, I found some really good sounds from like Splice or whatever, then maybe it's time to challenge yourself a little bit more to keep yourself sharp. Zephyrinth, chat. Hold on. Oh wow. Okay, yeah, we got some. Yeah, I'll don't worry. I'll grab them all. I'm probably gonna cut it off here though because my back teeth are floating. I might have to go take a pee break here in a second. Let's do this real quick. That's all, folks, and then we lock it. But yes, everybody that has submitted to the thing there will be the stuff. Also, Maple, sorry that I'm so scatterbrained. But basically, I think you've done a great job setting the stage, but now you got to put the main character in the stage. And I feel like that's what you haven't done yet. You haven't given us like the main character. You've just set the Okay, I'm going to play the rest of this track and go pee just right over there. I'll be listening. I'll be right back. Okay, so yes, a couple other thoughts I had while I was peeing. Yeah, the piss prediction, that was legendary. I just mess. I feel like I'm not having fun. I just close up. It's really deploy focus and EQ and mastering. Just like, oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't really know what advice to give you on that. Besides, again, challenging yourself to. Let's see if I can record myself hitting this thing and see if I can make a whole beat out of it or something. And then the beat might suck, but you might develop some new skill that you didn't know existed in the process of trying that. So like always, it's easy to get comfortable. Load up Serum, back in the day, Vengeance. I don't know what now, maybe the Splice plugin or something. Is there a Splice plugin? I don't know. Like it's easy to pull up the old faithfuls. Serum, hell yeah. Ozone, OTT, let's go, and sometimes you have to consciously break yourself out of that and force yourself to do something a little bit more out of your comfort zone in order to grow your comfort zone. Now, I'm going to try to finish my thoughts on this track so we can move on. 1 sec, I got to turn the heat up. It's fucking cold. Okay, heat is up. So, yes, I think Maple, what you've done here is you have created this track would not pass the hum it to your friend test. I could not hum this track. I couldn't hum this to one of my friends who had heard it and them know what I was talking about. There's no part in here where I could like, hey, do you know the song that goes like, what am I going to do? Hum a beautiful atmosphere? I can't do that. So it's the type of track that would fit under like a car edit, but the car edit is now the main character. The car edit is the hook. It's providing that main focal point. That's why it would work well under a car edit or something like that, like a video of a car with slow panning stuff, because the main focus is the visual. But we don't have visual. We don't have a motif. We don't have a melody. That's what I think about this track. I think everything you have here sounds good. I wouldn't necessarily change anything about what you have, but you're going to have to add something in order to tell the story a little bit more effectively. That's what I think. Let's move on. Thank you. Cloudy and Ren light demo. And as this is playing, I'm going to go grab the last tracks. So, okay, it's very cool. It sounds to me like it's missing a vocal. Like this sounds very like almost like Evanescence kind of vocal or something would work with it. My big concern isn't the fact that it's rendered at 192 kilobits per second. It's that it appears it's a to me looks like a collab. And it appears like one of the collaborators may have exported in 128. See this like hard cutoff down here, and then you've got the other stuff. So I'd probably make sure that when you're collaborating with people, you're working with high quality, and maybe that's fine because it's a demo and you're just bouncing stuff back and forth and you want to use floppy disks or something. I don't know. That's okay. Just as long as everybody is making sure that they're rendering out in the best quality they can, because there's nothing worse than screwing up something and putting it on the internet and then having to take it down and fix it. Anyway, this sounds good. Without the vocals, it's kind of hard to talk about like the pacing, because it feels like it's chugging along quite slowly. But if there were vocals happening, maybe I wouldn't feel that way. So the drops sound good. But do you see what I mean? Like there's a hard cutoff here, and then there's also a hard cutoff up here. That to me, it's. I'm wondering about the audio quality. I don't think I have really any good feedback on this track. I think it sounds dope. It's a great start, but it really does just sound kind of like a demo. Like we got to get some vocals on here. You know, we gotta figure out what the song's actually going to be like. The drop's cool, the intro's cool, the build's cool. You got some cool elements there, but it just ain't a song yet. So that's my feedback. I'm sorry if that's not incredibly useful. We're going to move on. Thank you for sending, though. Please send it once you get some vocals on it. I'm assuming you're putting vocals on it. I don't know what else you would do. Here we go. Next up. Wow, look at this shorty. It's a quickie. Cinnamon Dioxide. First project. Oh, Mazel Tov? Is that a thing that people say? I don't know. Here we go. That was jolly. I like this part. To me, it sounds like two different ideas. I love this. This sounds like I'm like exploring in Zelda or something. It just needs like a little flute synth that's playing a melody on top of it. I think for a first project, you're doing quite well. If I showed you some of my first projects, it would be a different story. I'm not really sure where to, what's your musical background? How musical are you? Because if you've got the musical skills, and like it sounds like you have a good musical head on your shoulders, but these pyong-pyongs, I don't really know if they're like the first, or sorry, not the first, I was reading and speaking. I don't know if they're the right chords to play there. They kind of sound like not the right chord. I'm not really sure. What I would say is, you're a percussionist of many, many years. Okay. So I think right now, I hate to recommend, I kind of don't want to recommend this, but I think you got to get a few more betterer sounds. Because these sounds are like, they kind of sound like they could be coming out of a toy keyboard. And that has some charm to it. Don't get me wrong. Like you can use those sounds and use them effectively. But having like start expanding your drum sample library, your maybe some percussive loops, maybe do some research into sound design, because this is just kind of like a sawtooth. Kind of sounds like a harpsichord patch on a keyboard or something. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think your musical skills are at a higher point than your production, sound choice, sound design, etc. skills. So maybe focus a little bit more on that so that your musical ideas can be represented a little bit more interesting than basic waveforms and, you know, like small kind of drum samples. But if you look at like, you know, like there's all kinds of great sites out there. I've been making electronic music for over 20 years, and I have just always bought and categorized and stored all my samples, right? So I can always go in and find thousands of, tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of snare drums, right? So starting to build up your sample library, Loop Masters, Wave Alchemy, Prime Loops, these are good places to buy sample packs and stuff like that, and start to build up a production library of cool sounds. Because to me, that's the biggest thing with this, is this just sounds like it could have came out of a keyboard. And I hope that isn't too harsh, but to me, I think that you've got a good musical head on your shoulders, because things are in key. I really like the second idea. I like it more than the first. It's a little more somber or something. But yeah, go and expand your library, and then you'll have more of a palette to work with. I think you're a good painter. You just don't, you just have like 3 colors, you know? And I guess if you had red, green, and blue, that's all you would need. But anyway, this isn't a physics channel. I hope that helps. I think you're off to a good start. So go find some new toys. I'm jealous of your position, because when I was starting off 20 years ago, everything was so exciting. I would figure out how to like shorten a snare drum, and that would be like, it would make my day. So you have many exciting developments ahead of you, and that is amazing. And I'm somewhat envious. Cool. That's what I think. Let's move on. DL Wave 2. Great name. Okay, this is very cool. I have a thought. This symbol, I wonder what the track would sound like if that cymbal wasn't in it. I don't know. To me, I'm a little conflicted because the cymbal sounds like something that it just sounds like acoustic and soft, and the rest of the track is digital and like edgy and sharp. And I think I feel this way. I think you use this kind of, maybe not this exact cymbal, but use this kind of cymbal in a lot of your tracks. And I think it kind of takes some of the edge off of the track. I would at least try taking it out. So instead of having, you know, maybe there's a wub sound there instead. Because I think what I'm struggling with is in this section, the ride is almost acting like a main wub sound. We have a kick, a sub bass, and a ride cymbal. So like the ride cymbal is kind of like, hey guys, I'm the cool thing here in this 1/4 note section or 1/8 note, whatever it is. The ride is kind of carrying the track in this one, and it's a ride. I don't know. Yeah, I think that you would be better off having like one of those sounds. Let's try something. It is this sound, but classic. Haven't used those in a while. You know, like something like that. So it's yeah. Anyway, that's I think that the ride is undermining the kind of edginess. Even here in the background, to me, okay, I think I've taken my thoughts that made no sense, and I think I've like digested them into a single thing. I think this is the sentence that I'm trying to say this whole time. If this was a band playing and you guys are rocking out, I don't think the drummer is going to hit the ride cymbal. I think the drummer is going to hit the crash cymbal, maybe. But if everybody's rocking out and headbanging, I don't think the drummer's gently hitting the ride. So I think that's what's bothering me, is that the ride implies smooth. It implies kind of a chill feeling. The ride is used in a like it's used in a nice way, and it's being used in like an aggressive, like let's fucking go, but the ride cymbal just doesn't feel right to me. So that's I think that's what it is. A drummer wouldn't use a ride cymbal in this part of the song. See, like the ride cymbal makes sense here. The ride cymbal makes sense in this section because we're, you know, jazz, you know? I agree. I do really like the chord thing. It kind of caught me off guard a little. I think it's very cool. I wouldn't take it out, but I think what I would suggest you do is solo just the chords and the bass and like solo the musical stuff. Get rid of it. Actually, there might not be any. I feel like there are some chords that are not playing the right chords. To me, I think if you go through and you specifically make sure dun dun dun, all of them are playing all the same chord, I think you might find that there's one synth that's playing the wrong chord at the wrong time, or it's still playing the original pattern. To me, there's something in that section that is not quite playing along with the rest of the band. So I would go through and just do a little investigation, and you might find that one of your synths is just holding the original chord that was happening before you changed the chord thing up. And I think that that's what threw me off, because it was a bit like I was like, is everything playing the right? Is that the right chord? Is that the right note? I almost thought that maybe I started playing a different song on top of it. And then I realized very quickly that I didn't, and I liked it, but there was a moment of confusion. So keep that in mind. That's cool. I like the ending. I agree with Bleed. I do think that there's a lot of really cool sound design, and there's a lot of cool grooves. It sounds really cool and exciting, but I do think it still suffers from the hum test, where there's no real central theme. There's the dun 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 bum 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 bum. Maybe that's the melody. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. I think that could be your hook, the dun 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 dun. And maybe it's just not being used like enough or in the right places. Excuse me. Yeah, I think I think you have come a long way from the earlier days, like a year ago when you were submitting. Like there are hooks. I think they're just everything is so dingle dangly, everything is so delayed and exciting and fun and zippity zappity zoo, and it's going all over the place. Maybe that's kind of it's almost like I had to think about it to figure out what the melody was. And it is in there, the dun 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 dun. Like that's cool. That's a cool melody. But I think in the way in which you presented it, it kind of just fades in with all of the other cool zippity zaps that are happening. It's fully wide. It's not in the center. It's delayed out with that. I think it's like a dotted eighth note or whatever, like the delay that you use a lot of. So to me, it kind of fades in with all of the other sound design. And I would say that this track is much more melodic than previous tracks. Well, maybe layer a synth with it. That's dead center. Dun, that's doing dun 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 dun. Or I think you haven't really. I feel like you almost accidentally made that the melody. It doesn't sound like intentional per se. It's a cool melody, but it's just not driven home enough. It's not like, hey guys, this is the fucking melody of the song. You know, it's just kind of like you kind of have to extract it out of the track. You know what I mean? And I don't want to hyper fixate on it because I think this style of music doesn't necessarily need to be the hookiest stuff in the world. I still think having a good, memorable, repeatable, enjoyable hook is important for any style of music, you know, and it can come in many different forms. I'm just kind of speculating here and I'm throwing ideas out. So I wouldn't get too like, oh my God, I can't figure out how to write a melody. Like, you have written a melody. I just think that it is being presented a little too wishy-washy with the effects and all the other stuff that's going on. And it's not being driven home quite enough. You know, dun 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 dun. See, the melody is almost implied there because we have the dee dee doo 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 doo, the piano descending thing. The melody is kind of hidden amongst all of the other stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think this is part of your journey to figure out, you know, how to grow as an artist and how to maybe, I think that could be a good next step for you, is to just go, maybe make it too obvious. Have like put a big brass sample that goes dun 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 dun. Like just fuck around and see if you can figure out a way of really driving home a melody so that it gets stuck in our head a little bit better. But again, this style of music lends itself quite well to like being atmospheric, and it's more about like the general vibe of it and less about like, this is the chorus, you know? So take it with a grain of salt. I think the mix sounds great. I think you did a good job. The arrangement's pretty good. The biggest thing I think is really just try to drive that melody home a little bit harder so that we can get attached. I think that's what that's about, right? If you have a good melody, we get invested. We get attached to the song. What's up, Thundy the Griffin? Submissions are closed for today, but you can hop on the Discord server, and I do this every Friday, and you can also post throughout the week. Everybody shares music and talks about it and whatnot. It's all good. So hop on the Discord server. The link's in the bottom there, and then next Friday, we can have a listen. All right, that's what I got for you, Amps. Good job. You're always getting better, and that's great to hear. Next up, Wailed. No Name. Do you guys have No Name brand? We have No Name in Canada. It's like the yellow label. All of you are picking out. It says missing something. Thanks to time. I got this. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's have a listen to No Name. Is that a dulcimer? What? This is great. I think that the kick is well, okay. This is what I meant by dulcimer. Whatever this thing is. It's very out of tune. But that's what I meant by dulcimer, not like the hammered dulcimer thing. Anyway, so this is great. I think the kick drum is a bit much. I feel like we're about to have honky tonk badonky donk kick in because of the strength of the kick drum. I would probably turn the kick drum just down a little bit. You can kind of see it's driving a little hard, I think. Okay, so everything sounded authentic until the string. The strings kind of give me corporate video vibes. I don't know that they're adding a whole lot. And if I like the notes, I like what they're doing musically, but sonically, they give me like YouTube tutorial vibes. So everything up to that was like, sounds like, you know, you recorded it yourself and it's real and it's human and it's great. But then those strings come in and I'm like, oh, okay, those are yeah. Those are like MIDI strings almost. So I think you should maybe try to find a replacement for them. Something that's a little more authentic. Anyway, let's keep going. Same with the drums. I think the drums, like you could get Superior Drummer, I think would be a good match for you. Even the fact, like just the default Superior Drummer would sound more realistic. Like, for example, the snare drum has quite a bit of reverb on it, but it's mono. So that gives me not real vibes because it's like there's like a big tail, but it's completely mono. So it doesn't feel like it's filling out a real room with a real drum kit, right? So if you got something like Superior Drummer or there's all kinds of other great drums. I think my two notes so far about the strings and these drums both relate back to like they just aren't convincing enough to be considered like, oh, this could potentially be a real drummer, or those could potentially be real strings. Like there's kind of no doubt in my mind that they're MIDI. So yeah, maybe look into Superior Drummer. Let's keep going. Is the bass playing the wrong note right there? It sounds like it's going down, 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 like it's going up one semitone. But then it sounds right. So like I feel like there's a little dissonance happening now and then. Honestly, dude, just having like a better sounding drum kit and changing nothing else is going to do massive amounts for this track. Just having better sounding drums. These drums kind of sound like they would come out of like a drum machine or a electric drum kit. You know what I mean? Like they like, yes, that's a snare, but like not really a great snare. Me and my friends recorded it, so it was pretty rough, so exclusive. Oh, I'm not sure what you're talking about anymore. What did you just... Okay, I thought you were like talking like super British slang or something. That mean the Volks. Like... Yeah, I mean, I assume that this would have vocals because it's written very much like there should be vocals on top. Yeah, I mean, like... I think getting better drums. That's what I would start with is better drums and the men spitting breeze about them vox blood. That was terrible. Yeah, better drums. The end. I think that's a great place to start. And the strings, just anything that's kind of like generic like instrument that you get from a keyboard or something. replace with something that's a little more authentic. But the biggest thing are the drums. Having like superior drummer is my recommendation. I don't know what your budget is, but it's not a whole lot just to get the basic one. You can buy all kinds of different kits and stuff. It would just like, boom, your track would be instantly at least 10 times better with good drums. Okay, cool. Thanks for sending though. That was a interesting, refreshing change from all of the electronic music we usually listen to. All right, Kashmir PP? P? What? What is this? Who's PPP? Okay, let's listen to PPP. So I like this, but this section, it's a bit basic, especially this. That is bold. That is a bold amount of silence to put in a EDM track, unless there's going to be vocals or something. I don't think you should have that much silence. That's like over a second of silence, I think. 3692. Yep. That's like a second and a half of silence. That to me, I'm like, oh, the song's done. Okay, let's keep going. Is this whole song just ripped off of YouTube? You know what's funny? I saw that one. Yeah, wait, did you see it when I loaded up? I noticed that too. I noticed this. So this is a rip. This is a not, we shouldn't even listen to it. Unless we're listening to Hatubishi Gakun when I hate when people do that. Okay, moving on. Zephyrinth. I don't understand. I just don't understand, because remember a while ago we had Cryo Test. What do these people get out of submitting other people's music? Like, do they want to know what we think about the other people's music? I don't understand the end goal. I don't understand the benefit or the like, what are they getting out of it? If I were to go and take somebody's track, rip it off YouTube and submit it to a Stolen Valor, I just don't get it. I don't understand. And like, I have a hard enough time sometimes. I listen to something and I'm like, is this just splice loops, like spliced together? Anyway, whatever. Let's move on. Zephyrinth. I don't know what to call this. Paradox. I shared an instrumental purely for learning. I really respect your breakdowns. Thought it'd be cool to hear your perspective on how it's put together. So wait, did you submit that last track? I got muted. Oh. Okay. Well, I appreciate the explanation, and I will accept that as an explanation. Because you did submit it, and then I did. Did I close? Whatever. Anyway, I don't really want to do that. If you make your own tracks, you can submit your own tracks. But I don't really want to take my time to listen to somebody else's tracks and give you my thoughts on somebody else's tracks. So just, if you make your own music and you want to submit it, that's cool. But don't send me something that's not you. Cool. Anyway, let's move on. Dude, these are still great. I love these tracks, but you got to get FL Studio non-mobile, E-mobile. You need FL Studio E-mobile because here's the thing. Musically, this is all sick, but when you start doing the wubs and they're always the same kind of wubs because you're so limited by what you can do with FL Mobile. And don't get me wrong, FL Studio Mobile is a great track. Or it's a great track, great tool. But it is limiting, and I do believe that you get the full version because you got skills, so you're being held back by what you can do in that program. Oh, you're building a PC right now. Okay, all right. Well, then I'm preaching to the choir.
Switch it up.
See, I think the cool thing is that you can start, if you're comfortable writing in FL Mobile, you can write it in FL Mobile and then just import it into FL E-mobile and like take it to the next level, add the extra dimension to it, right? Yeah, I know. It's nuts that he writes this stuff in FL Studio Mobile. And that's usually my only feedback for his tracks is like, don't use FL Mobile. Just like get a computer. And it sounds like he's finally getting a computer. So that is great. And see, like, just having a limiter, and maybe, I'm sure you probably can do it in FL Mobile. I've only used FL Mobile for about 7 minutes, but just like the track, especially the drop sections, just bringing a limiter in, doing nothing but this. Yeah, like this is dope. This is a great chiptune banger. And the only thing, I'm not going to say anything more about FL Mobile, but like the wubs, if we listen to just this song, that's fine, whatever. But you listen to all your tracks and we have very similar wubs each time. And I mean, maybe they're a little different because I'm just going off my memory. But from my memory, they always kind of have the FM things, right? So I'm excited for you to get some more tools so that you can stretch your sound design legs a little bit more. I only have 3 oscillators. Exactly. But hey, you have learned the fundamentals and you have earned the right to use like some like Serum or Harmer. I think you're really going to like Harmer. Yeah. Yeah, that's right, Bleed. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, anyway, it's dope. As always, it's dope. I'm really excited to hear what you can do when you get FL E-Mobile. Great job. He's going to kill it on PC. I agree. I agree with that. All right, Bleed. By the way, what? Could you bring in like a very subtle percussive something? Just like even just like a hi-hat pedal, very light, like tss, tss, tss on the quarter note. Oh, I'm sorry. That is my bad. I knew that was going to happen and it still happened. Holy shit.
I can't get my head straight. No matter what I do, it won't make sense. I fight these intrusive thoughts, but they carry on at my expense. And every time I think I'm getting somewhere close, I get a swift reminder that I'm chasing ghosts. Every time I think I'm heading somewhere new, the path I'm walking always takes me back to you.
So this sounds great. I think you've done some great work here. I feel like I say this a lot, so keep that in mind. But I feel like the drop we're dropping into the second half of the drop. I feel like it almost seems like the track knows something that I don't when that happens. If that makes any sense. It probably makes no sense. But I kind of feel like when it first drops, it's like, whoa, like I'm getting, whoa, okay, there's a lot of stuff. I feel like I say this a lot. So maybe it's a taste thing. Maybe this is my taste. But I'm working on an A drop with vocals or something. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's just, I just kind of felt like I didn't earn the amount of like stuff that was, I just felt like we fast forwarded. So yeah, anyway, if you're working on something cool, that was my first thought. Everything else sounded great. Like honestly, it sounds dope. The vocals are clear. I can hear them. I can understand them. Really good. Okay, let's keep going.
I lay down in silence, but your voice is spinning round my head. I get up, I try to walk it off.
What's going on with the stereo? The vocal on the side.
Spinning round my head, I get up.
Kind of sounds like the right side is like slightly early.
Spinning round my head, I get up, I try to walk it off.
I get up, I try to walk it off. It sounds early on the right side.
I try to walk it off, but it only makes it worse instead. And every time I think I'm getting somewhere close, I get a swoop from under that I'm chasing ghosts. Every time I think I'm heading somewhere new, the path I'm walking always takes me back to you.
I found that I really like, oh shoot, I really like it leading up to the drop with the vocals, but the vocals are getting buried, especially right here. They're so quiet.
The path I'm walking always takes me back to you.
Yeah, the vocal is getting buried underneath all this build-up stuff, and then especially when you compare the volume. Like we could probably do this just for demonstration purposes. I'll just like copy it a few times. Know what I mean? Like, and I copied and pasted that 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh shoot, hold on. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I've layered 4. There were 4 of your vocals on, and it was, yeah, it sounded kind of maybe too loud, but not like that much too loud. Anyway, let's keep it. That was cool. I like that ending. Yeah, like the melody is so good in this track. It's the hook is really, really good. The that thing is really good. I still would like to hear what it sounds like with the vocals a little less effecty. I don't mind the effects. You know, it kind of sounds like a modern kind of EDM pop vocal effect thing. But I would be interested to see what it sounded like if you dialed the effects back just a little bit. Just I don't know. Or like all the way and see what it sounds like. I like the effects, but to me, I would just, yeah, I don't know. I think you have a great voice, and I think the amount of effects that you are putting on the voice is more suited to somebody who doesn't have a good voice, if that makes any sense. But it's a great track. You're doing a great job. Keep going. All right. Last one of the night, Adjustment 2, which I have been notified is a different name, but I don't remember what they said it was. Memory. It's a different name. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever. Let's listen to Adjustment 2. I'm waiting. I'm assuming we're going to get the title. System. There we go. Let's listen to System. What's going on? What's going on with this? What's happening here? Why are we hard cut off at 10? Musically, it's cool, but no, I don't have it on. There's something not right about this audio file. Like, we have a serious lack of information. It's a wave, but that doesn't mean that it was always a wave. Did this used to be an MP3 and is now a wave? Because it's gonna be hard to like give you feedback on a track that it's honestly kind of mad. Is this like a remix or something? There's something funky going on here. I'd like to get to the bottom of it. I'm assuming this has to be some sort of remix or bootleg or something. Because now all of a sudden with these drums and stuff, we have like full frequency. But before I took the vocals and did all the rest. So what's up with this? Can you explain? And I'm not trying to accuse you of anything. I'm just confused that like the 10 kilo, like a lot of the instrumental is cut off at 10 kilohertz, like the piano. This is just aliasing up here. So I think that the track sounds cool. Why'd you cut it off there like that? Okay, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting choice, I guess. But I'm going to try to just not look at this over here. And I'm going to just add some loudness to bring it up. What are you doing? I'm listening to people's music. This is the last track, though, for the day. Okay, what do I think about this, besides the questionable frequency response thing? I think that the track is cooler than the vocal. I think that if you rip that vocal and I don't think it's worth it. I think the track is cooler than what the vocal is providing. So I think what you should do is maybe try to find a vocalist to write this with, because the instrumental is honestly really cool, but the vocal is just kind of like, she sounds like she's on a big dune in the desert and the camera's panning around her and she's like articulating a thought via singing. But it doesn't, I don't know what she's saying. She's a good singer, but I don't know. To me, the fact that it's low quality, you had to rip it off of something. Why? Now you have the song is cool. Maybe get rid of the vocals and try to work with a vocalist. You know, that's what I would do. I would take this track, because the track honestly sounds pretty good. Like that kind of like, let me keep going before I formulate more stupid random thoughts. let me ask you this. Did you put the cutoff EQ on the master bus? I don't think you, I don't know. I'm still kind of confused about this frequency response thing. Because it's on more than just the piano. It's on like everything, but then the drums are coming through full quality. On the vocal, but there's more than the vocals happening here, and we still have a hard cutoff at the 10 kilohertz range. Let's do this. Like there's nothing up there. If we listen to these sections, did you maybe accidentally put it on more than the vocal? Because I'm listening to just 10 kilohertz and above, and I'm hearing nothing, not even like the other elements. You know what I mean? I would investigate. I think maybe there's some fuckery awry. I don't know if that's a thing people say or not. But something's up, and it's tickling my spidey senses. I think your drums sound good. I think your synths sound good. Excuse me. I think the arrangement is pretty good. Well, they do now. Thanks. I don't get it. I don't understand phrase over this. Experience in the felony cues and compressors are still giving me the heebie-jeebies. Well, you need to understand that EQs are frequency-based effects, and compressors are amplitude and dynamics-based. There's some fuckery awry. Oh, okay, I got it. I forgot I even said that. Yeah, that's a big question, Koga. But there's probably tons of great videos out there that will help you. Okay, sorry again for being so scatterbrained on this one. I'm not accepting that you only put the cutoff on the vocal, because when I listen to those sections that have the piano, they have the synths and everything, and I just high pass at 10 kilohertz, I don't hear any of those other elements. I hear nothing except some aliasing and artifacts from the MP3 or whatever you got the vocal from. So I don't know. I would investigate that. And then I would probably not use these vocals and try to find a vocalist to work with. Though that's pretty much, I think, what I got for this one. And then from a more technical standpoint, you can go and you can see I got 6 decibels of loudness. Just by bringing a limiter down. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't sacrifice any quality. So I would say 3 things to recap. Excuse me. First, figure out what the fuck's going on with the frequency response. There's something up, and I don't know what it is, but there's something going on. Second, maybe work with a real vocalist. You will have a much better product. You'll have a song. This is a cool track. It has a cool sound to it. But if you worked with an actual vocalist and like wrote something, then that's going to be a whole other level of creativity. And then third is look into just some basic master effects. You don't have to go crazy with, everything, but just you could see that I got just this. I just pulled the threshold down, and it's louder, and it doesn't sound any worse. It just sounds better. So that way you can go and you can get your tracks a little bit louder. I'm not trying to get you to smash it. I'll try to use this maximizer thing. Yeah, Ozone. I use Ozone a lot. I've used it for probably 15 years at this point, through various versions, and it's a great tool. It's a good suite. I use the EQ, the multi-band compressor, and the limiter on pretty much every song I write. Anyway, that's what I got for you this week. Thank you for hanging out. This is me. I'm gonna go play pool with some friends. So I'm happy to hang out with you guys again next Friday. I will see you there. I love you. Have a good weekend and goodbye. Blank and mute the mic. There's the mic and